warrant to search this property. Step aside.
Okay, then show me the warrant.
We don't have to show you anything. We're executing a lawful search.
Actually, under the Fourth Amendment, you're required to present the warrant before entry.
Lady, you're interfering with a police investigation. That's a crime.
And conducting a warrantless search is a constitutional violation. That's a law.
The body camera footage from Derek's team that morning would later become evidence in the case. It captured Derek's initial aggression. It captured his refusal to show the warrant. It captured the moment Jasmine identified herself as a federal prosecutor. It captured Derek's face when he realized he had just tried to execute a questionable warrant on someone who could destroy his career. That footage was shown to every officer in the Philadelphia Police Department as part of the mandatory training that followed the scandal. It was titled Constitutional Requirements for Search Warrants, a Case Study. The video was meant to teach two lessons. First, know the law and follow it. Second, every person you encounter might be someone who knows their rights better than you do, and if you're cutting corners, you will eventually get caught. Jasmine continued her work at the U.S. Attorney's Office. After the Mullins case, her caseload increased dramatically. People who had been victims of police misconduct now knew there was a prosecutor who would actually pursue these cases aggressively. She has since prosecuted 23 additional officers for various forms of corruption. Her conviction rate remains above 85%. She has expanded her focus to include excessive force cases and evidence planting. She still lives in the same warehouse loft. The downstairs unit is now rented by a teacher. Jasmine made sure her new neighbor knew exactly what had happened with the previous incident and assured her that nothing like that would ever happen again. James Torres, the original downstairs tenant, moved out shortly after the incident, not because of anything Jasmine did, but because he was terrified that his brother's problems would follow him. Jasmine helped him get out of his lease early and wrote a reference letter for his new apartment. Derek Mullins is currently serving his sentence at a federal correctional institution in Pennsylvania. He will be eligible for release in 2029. His law enforcement career is over, his pension was forfeited, his reputation is destroyed. Lieutenant Thomas Brennan is also in federal prison. The unit he supervised was disbanded. The officers who weren't charged were reassigned to different divisions. The three officers who showed up at Jasmine's door that morning made different choices about their careers. Derek chose to continue the corrupt practices that eventually sent him to prison. Chris Santos became a private investigator. Rebecca Walsh left law enforcement entirely and now works in social services. Let's address something that came up in the coverage of this case. Some people said Jasmine should have just let them execute the warrant and then filed a complaint afterward. They said confronting armed police officers was dangerous and could have ended badly. Here's the thing. Jasmine had every legal right to demand to see the warrant before allowing entry. That's not confrontational. That's constitutional law. The Fourth Amendment specifically requires particularity in warrants, and courts have consistently held that the warrant must be shown to the person whose property is being searched. As for the danger argument, Jasmine was very aware of the risk. As a black woman, she understood that confrontations with police carried additional danger. She had prosecuted cases where confrontations with police had turned violent, disproportionately against people who looked like her. She understood that asserting your rights while black can be life-threatening. But she also understood that if she, as a black federal prosecutor with institutional power and legal knowledge, didn't assert those rights, then ordinary black citizens had no hope of doing so. Someone with her advantages had a responsibility to push back, and she calculated, correctly, that once she identified herself as a federal prosecutor who specialized in police corruption, the officers would realize that any violence against her would bring consequences they couldn't escape. Not everyone has that privilege, and that's exactly the problem Jasmine is trying to fix through her work. So what are the lessons here? First, know your rights regarding search warrants. Police must show you the warrant before entry. You have the right to read it carefully. You have the right to check if it's properly signed and dated. You have the right to see if it specifies your address and what they're looking for. Don't interfere with the search, but document everything. Second, stay calm and don't provide information voluntarily. Jasmine asked clear, direct questions. She didn't argue emotionally. She didn't volunteer information. She controlled the interaction through knowledge and composure. Third, document everything.